Hey, what's up guys, Rep here. So it looks like this tweet I made back in May is once again relevant because a group of VTubers are attempting to cancel VShojo's Henya the Genius because apparently the Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign she suffered back in February as Pikami wasn't enough, so they have returned to attack her once again, but this time for different reasons. So here's the tweet that started it all. It is made by a robot VTuber named Zozo. It states, unfollowing a certain corporate VTuber after learning that their oshi mark is a common dog whistle for lolly BS, and they probably are aware of that. Why does it seem like so many of them are just gross at this point? And of course they showed her oshi mark down here. Now, number one, get filtered, but also it's very obvious to anyone that this tweet is directed towards Henya the Genius from VShojo, and it's obvious based on the fact they're saying a corporate VTuber and then they show one of her oshi marks. It's very obvious, and the reason she's not directly naming Henya is because she wants the clout without getting any feedback or criticism of this tweet, because she knows that Henya and her other forms she's taken over the years of her content creation is beloved not only by her fans but also by her peers. So they do this instead. And with anything else, this is not an airport. You do not have to announce your departure. The only mature response when you see a VTuber with something as silly as oshi marks you don't like, you just simply unfollow them if it bothers you that much. There is no need for a call-out post. The only reason you're doing this is for attention. And also, calling her gross and her fans gross as a result of something you personally don't like in a public tweet like this is just uncalled for. And, you know, let's just get the basic message out of here. They're shocked by this whole thing. Yeah, imagine my shock when the Open Lolicon rebrands in VShojo with a lolly VTuber model that has a literal boob window, would also have oshi marks that cater to lolicons. Imagine my shock when I found that connection out. But anyways, this is a lot of tourist behavior, and other VTubers would take this opportunity to try to make all kinds of wild claims like this right here. So another VTuber would quote retweet them saying, so many lolicons in the quote retweets claiming people should learn the culture before becoming a VTuber. F no, you guys are the minority here. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who is a lolicon or is even indifferent to that sort of stuff in the VTubing scene is the minority. Yeah, the minority, right? Except for the fact that the most subscribed to VTuber in the world is Gargura, who is a lolicon and uses a lolly model. Not to mention the fact that the first mainstream VTuber was Kizuna Ai, who was completely okay with lolicon. Not to mention the biggest trend in the VTubing scene right now revolves around a song called Lolly God Requiem, which is literally a song about lolicons and catered towards lolicons. But yeah, they're definitely in the minority here, right? Well, of course, a lot of other VTubers would be asking, please share the name of this person you're talking about. And Zozo would say, I'm not out here like I'm chasing clout with drama, so not gonna do names publicly, but I'll DM, which, again, that's kind of doing the same thing. But nonetheless, they said they would not do this publicly. Well, unfortunately, they couldn't help themselves. Only 2 hours after making this tweet, they would have a 3.5 hour long live stream where not only would they directly name Henya, they would also sprinkle in all sorts of rude comments about her, her fans, and other VTubers in the process. So let's check out a couple clips from that stream. Okay, so like I said, this stream was over 3.5 hours, and the mentions of Henya are sprinkled throughout it. So it's just really repeating a lot of the stuff that she said on Twitter, but we're just going to focus on a few clips that really capture the essence of what she's saying here.
Yeah. Oops. Fucking Henya. The thing she's using for her oshi mark thing is a dog whistle for lollies.
I find that very funny. So number one, she said that she would not name this person for clout and immediately goes live on Twitch and then names Henya directly. Like, whoops, another act of hypocrisy there. But this whole idea of it being a dog whistle, it's not really a dog whistle when everyone involved knows what it means. That symbol has been a part of lolicon culture for a very long time, and I don't think anyone is confused in her community. Also, let's remind ourselves that this is a lolly VTuber model being operated by a lolicon and someone that was known for that stuff in her past life. okay? Nobody in her community is confused on Henya's stance regarding lolly characters in Lolicon. It's only people on the outside looking in that are actually confused by any of this stuff.
Also, not me finding out that that a certain corpo is courting lolly bullshit. Fuck them, I'm done.
Ooh.
No longer follow.
You know, is this really worthy of a tweet and a stream to announce these things? Again, if you didn't like it, just unfollow and move on. Don't go into your hug box on Twitter and have to have a little therapy session, a group therapy session about how much you dislike Henya and how shocked you are about this situation when nobody else is shocked but you. And the thing that's really just kind of crazy about all of this is you just could move on with your life and not cause any sort of issue. You really didn't have to do any of this and to say, oh, I'm done with her. Well, she's done with you. She doesn't even know who you are. You're acting like she owes you anything. She doesn't owe you anything. She doesn't know who you are. She's just out there making content, and you should do like her and just focus on yourself instead of obsessing over whatever she's doing with her oshi marks. Okay, so there's one more clip I want to look at here where they talk about oshi marks and dog whistles again.
That's the thing. Is since she's using it and has made it seem innocuous, a lot of her fans, because an oshi mark is a mark you'd put on like your account if you're to show you're a fan of a certain VTuber. Mine's a gear. Like I did it just because it fills out the Twitter page nice. It looks nice. I don't really care about the idol culture bullshit that's behind it.
Yeah, I don't care about the idol culture stuff that's behind oshi marks, but I'm going to use them to help enhance my account and get more attention to it. I don't like idol culture and these aspects of VTubing and all these things, but I'm going to use a VTuber model. I mean, it's so weird to me. There's so many people who say how they hate idol culture, and yet they have things like debuts and oshi marks, and it's so ridiculous. They just want to use aspects of those related cultures to enhance their own account, and it's very obvious. But let's hear some more.
But mine's a gear. Like I think Zen's is Zen's had a couple.
Zentreya.
Zen using a lightning bolt is kind of sus, but she's only using one. If she had a pair of lightning bolts, yeah, I would be cutting Zen off immediately.
Well, yes, that's an SS reference if there's two lightning bolts, but you're already calling Zentreya sus for having one lightning bolt as her oshi mark. That's really, really weird to me, okay? Like, the fact that you're allowing people to basically appropriate that symbol because something that looks similar to it is hateful is a bad thing. And, you know, I don't want to get too technical here, but if you're starting to say things like, oh, well, this thing is not allowed because it's sus, I got news for you. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is like a PSA to people, but the gear symbol that is her oshi mark, that is used in the pedophile community. People have used that to track down and report pedophiles on Twitter. Okay, I'm not saying that this VTuber is in any way using it that way. They probably are completely unaware of that. And I'm not making any sort of an insinuation here by saying that. But if you're going to allow some people to appropriate one symbol or emote or emoji or whatever, like, it would apply back to you. Obviously, you have every right to use the gear symbol, but there is negative uses of the gear symbol on Twitter. But I don't think that should make it so you have to change your oshi mark. But that's the same logic that we're working with here, and it's just very, very strange. And to basically say that Zentreya is also sus for having one lightning bolt is really weird. And it reminds me also of another VShojo moment here where Keisan was getting attacked for using a Buddhist swastika in one of her tweets where people were saying that that was hateful Nazi imagery. When, of course, the Nazis appropriated swastikas when they used it for hateful rhetoric. And, of course, that shouldn't change the meaning of something else that exists and looks similar to it that has existed long before it was used by the Nazis. And to assume someone is promoting hatefulness because they use that symbol, the Buddhist version of it, is ignorant. And all of these dog whistle conversations, they just seem so backwards. They seem so backwards and end up demonizing things in many cases that are completely innocuous. But in the aftermath of that thread and the related stream, a lot of people would be responding to their tweet, and Zozo would reply to people. And of course, this user saying they fear the L word, as in lolly. And Zozo replies with, not really, just don't want to deal with the grossest part of that community that tend to word search define drama. Of course, this person reminding everyone that they hate drama so much while they make a drama call-out post. But of course, with these sorts of people, it's not just that they find it gross. It is totally valid to not like these things. These themes within the VTubing scene or just generally. It's okay, it's valid to not like these things. But it's another thing to justify that as a reason to go around harassing people and other content creators over this topic that you personally don't like. And of course, it's never just that they find it gross. There's always more comments to this. Like, they don't just say, oh, you're gross. They always imply other things, and it doesn't take a lot of searching on this person's account to find out their true feelings on the matter. So they had a comment here during the Rune drama. You might have remembered this lolly VTuber who was getting attacked by practically half the VTubing scene in the West back earlier this year. But Zozo would leave this comment saying, I don't care if a VTuber is a lolly, but the people that cater to, and specifically if they do lewd stuff, have no place except somewhere for rehabilitation. VTubing is beyond it's just anime, bro, and the more personal nature of it blur the line to an extent that should be acknowledged. Yes, so again, it's not just enough that they find it gross. They're saying you need to go to rehabilitation if you consume this stuff or you cater to people who make lolly content. Like, seriously, let me just ask, do you think Henya needs rehabilitation because of her oshi marks? Do you genuinely believe that she needs rehabilitation for something like that? It's absolutely crazy. And of course, the only people who really need rehabilitation in any of these scenarios are people who think it's more than just a drawing here. If you can't separate fiction and reality, that's the kind of person who needs rehabilitation in this scenario. But of course, you probably aren't surprised by this. They're a furry, okay? An open furry. And of course, they're picking and choosing how they apply their own logic to call other people out. This was a thread from back in February in the days of the Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign. They said to someone else saying, I had a nicer response, but F that. Furry art is highly anthro and depicts characters of legal effing age and consenting. Get effed, lolicon. Wow, I didn't know that those animals you're looking at could consent. Yeah, unfortunately, none of these fictional characters have the ability to consent. It's just goofy to even mention that. But this user would reply saying, and depicts characters that are, and Zozo would reply, characters that are obviously not animals. The issue with sexualized lolly art is that those depicted are not clear, and it looks a very particular way to the majority. Lolly art doesn't have to be sexual. I don't see why that seems to be so controversial with lolicons. They're so close. They're so close. They almost got it. They're like that meme, you know, where like the furry will say a certain string of logic to defend what they consume and then completely ignore that same logic when it's applied to lolly stuff. And it's blatant hypocrisy. There's no difference. If you have an issue with one, you have to have an issue with both. That's just plain application of logic here. But moving on, of course, your likes are public. I found this character here. This is Miku. She's 16, and she's highly sexualized in this art. And I have to say, chef's kiss. At least you have good taste. You know, I follow this artist too. But this is a sexualized 16-year-old character. If you have a problem with lolly, which is a body type, by the way, and has nothing to do with age, clearly you must also have a problem with underage characters being sexualized. You don't get to pick and choose here. So under your own logic, do you need rehabilitation right now because you have this underage character being sexualized in your likes? Obviously you shouldn't. That's ridiculous, but that's your logic. And it's just being applied back to you. And of course, you know, mentioning the whole Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign, notice other VTubers who are liking these posts. I always say when you see posts that contain slander or hateful messages towards other VTubers over stuff like this, check the likes. See what kind of VTubers are interacting and liking these tweets. And as you can see, here's one of the people from the Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign liking this tweet. And of course, we have a lot to talk about with this here. So Zozo, after getting a lot of criticism from people, would make this tweet saying, I love how they respond by that community against anything they dislike is always just slurs and like the weakest insults. So again, as I say with every single Hogwarts Legacy related video from back in February and March, Do not resort to transphobia in any of these situations. That's wrong. And even if I can't get to you with that message, even if I can't reach you with that, think of it another way, okay? Don't be a liability, okay? When you come in and say slurs against people like this who did something bad or did something that's getting criticized, you change the narrative. You allow them to become the victim in this situation, and now they're talking about being called a slur, and people are not focusing on the stuff that they did or said. You should avoid doing that because it's the right thing to avoid, but also keep that logic in mind as well. But that's going to do it for this video. Very interesting situation, and it seems like these harassment campaigns against Pikami and Henya, of all people out there, just seem to continue, and you're picking the wrong person to go after in this situation. That is a huge mistake, and it's backfiring horribly, and, well, for good reason. But that's going to do it for this video. Please share all of your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.